Hi, everyone. My name's Carol Ann Mazza. I'm one of the founding members of my collaborative team. And this is the latest edition of my collaborative Eat Live. We do this every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. It's 10 to 15 minutes. It's on Facebook and YouTube. You can watch live or you can go back and watch it another time at your convenience. But basically, we sit and we have conversations with people about information that's important for all of us, especially in the collaborative world as we're dealing with divorce. It's digestible content. It's both for professionals and the public. And no matter what's going on, you can count on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock, Collaborative Eat Live. So this is our latest edition. I'm here with Tammy Berman. And Tammy is a licensed mental health counselor, a national board certified counselor, and she runs a private practice group called My Counseling Connections Incorporated. She's been in practice since 2003. Throughout her career, Tammy has specialized in working with severe and persistent mentally ill people, teens and their families who present with a range of mental health issues, including self-harming behaviors, addiction, depression, other mood disorders, anxiety, personality disorders, and relationship issues. Tammy is involved with the Collaborative Family Law Professionals of South Florida, a co-chair of the Pro Bono Collaborative Pilot Project in Broward County, a member of the Palm Beach County Family Law Professionals, and is a recent fellow of the Florida Academy of Collaborative Professionals Leadership Institute. Tammy is highly invested in promoting the awareness of the collaborative process for families in conflict. Hi, Tammy. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We're talking specifically about teens and divorce. And often I think we focus on minor children and the issues that they have with the divorce process. But I would imagine teenagers have issues of their own,
right,
that are different from the minor kids.
Definitely different. There's a few things in preparing to talk with you today that I kind of wanted to share about the unique aspects of teens, specifically in comparison to any other kid population, age group, is that teens are going through a process of individuation. This is a developmental milestone for them. So kind of like between 9 to 12, kids start to pull away from their parents' ideologies, moral compass. They start to basically deconstruct and reconstruct their values and perceptions of the world. They're starting to see the world from a new lens, really from like kind of like rejecting their parents' lens and starting to redefine and create their own new lens of which they look at things. So the big part about them in this developmental milestone is that they need room to explore. From some really cool research and trainings that I went to, I learned about the brain development of teens. And at this age, teens are more creative than, as a human species, we are more creative in the teenage years than we are at any other time in our life. And it's partly because the way their brains they go through a pruning process, and the way that their brains start to redefine is the gas pedal, like the go system starts really getting worked up. And yet in the parietal lobe, they're learning that it's kind of like this last area of development, which is the braking system. So that's not like fully functioning at the time of teenage years. So you see a lot of impulsive behavior and you see a lot of curiosity and exploration. That's a need for them. It's like hardwired in them.
So when you see kids going through this and their parents are divorcing, does some of that creativity, does it come to the forefront, or do they withdraw? Like how does that brain process engage when their parents are going through a divorce?
It depends on how their parents are handling their divorce in the home. If teens are dealing with a lot of tension and conflict, that process is happening whether they like it or not, but to the extent to which they expose it to their parents, they'll retreat and start redirecting like their focus to their friends. I mean, the peer group, and so part of the developmental thing about individuation is their peers become way more important to them than any other time too, because they're learning and exploring the ideologies of others within their cohort, right?
Right.
That's going to happen no matter what, whether you like it or not. And so when they're dealing with a divorce, if the parents are managing themselves well and they maintain a line of communication and support of the teens, like they know where their kids are at and they're there to support them, like they're not interfering with that, they're maintaining their quality of relationship, then the teens will be good. But when parents are struggling, which is common, I mean, I just think of divorce as probably, like, if I imagine myself, I can only imagine it's one of the hardest things to go through. And so you might not always be emotionally available, nowhere near as you were before. That's okay to some extent too, like, because that's a normal reaction to divorce. But it just depends on where the teens are at, if they need them. Yeah. And teens don't do a good job of showing when they need their parents.
Yes.
They grow this like strong exterior of like, I'm fine, like I got it.
Yeah.
They don't always got it.
Yes.
So it kind of just, it's like this, there's this thing that's changing in terms of the quality of a relationship with a parent and their teen. You know, I think of the challenge of, I'm prepping myself for this as my kids get into the teen years, because as a parent in parent mode, you've known your kids, you know them in some ways better than they know themselves. And you've been the one to protect and raise and guide them this whole way through. But all of a sudden, internally, your kids are changing big time. And it's hard to really see that. Yeah. But it starts showing up here and there. So it can be really challenging for parents to make that adjustment, and be able to give the space that kids need to have that exploration and work through their individuation. But the biggest key, I would say to parents, no matter what, whether you're going through a divorce or not, is a line of communication where you have a radar into their world, and you have you approach them with curiosity and recognize that they're changing, so that actually another part of the shift of being a parent is you shift into being like learning from them as opposed to them learning from you. Like now you have to start kind of learning about their world that like you think you know, but you don't know. So
right. So having more of the more real conversation and not the monosyllable answers like, how was your day? Fine, right?
Right.
Teens are masters of monosyllable words.
Yeah, that's so true. It's definitely true. So yeah, it becomes more challenging to find, to keep a line of communication open. I would say to parents, again, whether you're going through divorce or not, part of your adjustment is going to be finding creative ways to keep a line in, like actually being willing to explore their worlds, even though you might hate what they're part of their world, like the music they're listening to and the stupid social media that they're into, but that's a big part of their life, and they're exploring through those mediums. And so if you want to really get to know your teen, actually you need to approach them with curiosity and wanting to learn about those things from their eyes. And it's not like their ideas and where they're at in this moment as a teen is going to be like that forever. Because some parents are very like, oh my God, like look at what they're dealing with, look at what they're engaging in. It's temporary, because the process of individuation happens like from like clearly like male, female, definitely by 13 all the way to like starts to slow down around the age of 18. They're still individuating, but like there's massive change year to year, month to month. So I'm just saying, like, because some parents have a hard time and they really get concerned, and it's not that they shouldn't be concerned. They should always have a radar and a line in. But I'm just trying to temper your reaction to stuff that they're engaging in. So communication is the key to, investigate and see where they're at and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear that parents need to learn from their kids in the same way that, parents are trying to be the examples or whatever. So, for example, in a collaborative case, how is it that you're able to work with parents, especially when their teens are going through this whole transition? Naturally, they would be whether the parents were getting divorced or not. And now on top of it, they have this whole additional transition where their parents are kind of a bit unsettled. Like, how does the collaborative process help in that regard?
So if you have a facilitator, and I know that we all are biased towards having a facilitator in the case, but the benefit of having a facilitator regarding the question you're asking is that in general, we have a good foundation and understanding of human development and the needs of the different milestones going on. So we're going to be asking questions and hearing, wanting to hear about the concerns that the parents have regarding their kids. And it might show up as the relationship with their kids and fear of losing access to their kids or concern about their kids' behavior. Mm-hmm. So just depending on how the parents present in a collaborative, when I'm doing part of my function of whether it's it would be facilitating a parenting plan because they're teens, right? So as we go through the questions of the parenting plan, you start to really get a better sense of each parent's concerns around their kids and around the relationship with their kids. And based on that, I would be able to give them guidance on, like I kind of introed, some of the needs, the developmental needs that and the support that kids need. Yeah. So I may be able to guide them in that way. If parents were to present concerns regarding co-parenting differences in styles or concerns about the way their teen is starting to engage in different, like, high-risk behavior or really starting to isolate, as a mental, in the collaborative process, we're not acting and operating as a therapist, but they use licensed mental health professionals for the sake of having a radar on that stuff. And so I may be able to give some guidance and support, but I also have to stay in my lane. So to the extent that it's minimal support and education, I can give the parents and support to them on facilitating discussions around the whatever concerns are being brought up and coming to agreements or understanding, great. But if there's things that are that need more attention, I'm going to make recommendations to them of, like, I think your kids need some support. These are the concerns I'm hearing. They're beyond the scope of how I can help you. And there's risk factors to what I'm hearing, so I can give them guidance on the mental health needs that are presenting as we do our case together.
Yeah, and suggest resources and things like that. Excellent.
Right.
Excellent. Well, anything else you'd like the audience to know when the case involves developing teens or even older teens?
One of the things you had brought up, we didn't get to talk too much about, but when parents are in very different places in terms of their belief system, like how they approach parenting, like on different parenting issues. Yeah. I would suggest ultimately the best thing and the wonderful thing about collaborative is we're a child-centered process where we're focused on protecting the family. And so I would be supporting the parents on trying to come to an agreement, something that they can get on the same page about in how to address this issue and support each other as co-parents. But ultimately, there's so many things in flux that are changing in your life in a divorce process. It may be beyond the scope of what you guys can do as co-parents on your own. So when it's not, you're getting the support you need and it's not enough, I absolutely advocate for you getting your kids support through a divorce process. Because, you know, it's just, it's a lot that can come onto your plate. And the worst you got to lose is a little bit of time and a little bit of money, but the best you have to gain is resiliency and the right support for your kids, so that they have a safe space to process, and also that therapist can support you guys at learning how to best support your kids, right?
Excellent. That's a great way to end this, because I've never had a parent say that the least important part of their divorce was their kids. It's always the most important part. So thanks, Tammy. I really appreciate your time today. I think we've gotten some very valuable information, and thanks to everybody out there. And this is the latest edition of CollaborEAT Live. Signing off. Take care. Bye.